I am 80 years old, and I am walking slowly along a familiar concrete path inside the Miami Zoo, using my cane, breathing the humid air, surrounded by distant enclosures and scattered visitors. I am here early, before the crowds grow thick, listening to metal fences, tropical birds, and the low mechanical hum of a place that is supposed to be controlled. I notice a sudden tension in the environment, a silence that does not belong, as people freeze in place and step backward without speaking. I lift my eyes and clearly see an adult white tiger outside its enclosure, its massive body fully exposed, white fur marked with pale gray stripes, muscles tense, paws touching the public pathway. I see that the white tiger is not attacking but is disoriented, breathing heavily, head low, eyes wide, tail stiff, reacting to sounds, smells, and movement it should never be exposed to. I understand instantly that the metal barrier has failed somewhere behind me, and the safe separation between humans and a wild predator no longer exists. I feel my heart accelerate inside my chest, not from fear alone, but from the weight of knowing that panic will escalate the danger for everyone. I notice the white tiger turning its head sharply toward moving shadows, showing signs of stress rather than aggression, its ears flattening as it scans the open space. I realize that armed response or sudden motion could end this animal's life within seconds, and that time is now working against calm decision-making. I remain standing in plain sight, my old body fully visible, my hands low, my posture slow, knowing that my presence must become something predictable. I feel the unspoken need for help, not shouted, not gestured, but existing in the fragile space between an escaped white tiger and a crowd that does not know what to do next. The adult white tiger begins to move slowly across the concrete path inside the Miami Zoo, its large paws stepping carefully, claws scraping a surface that feels foreign and unsafe to the animal. I remain exactly where I am, feeling the heat cling to my skin, fully aware that my 80-year-old body offers no margin for sudden movement or retreat. I sense activity growing behind me as zoo staff reposition at a distance, their controlled movements creating an invisible countdown that tightens the air. The white tiger raises its head higher, nostrils wide, breathing deeply as it processes unfamiliar human scents and the openness of a space it was never meant to enter. I tighten my grip on my cane, not to defend myself, but to anchor my balance and remind my body to stay slow and predictable. The white tiger's tail flicks sharply from side to side, a clear signal of stress building beneath its controlled exterior. I watch the animal angle its body sideways, muscles tightening again as distant motion distracts its attention and tests its patience. I feel my physical limitations with painful clarity, knowing I cannot move fast, cannot fall, and cannot afford a single mistake. The space between me and the escaped white tiger feels thinner now, charged with tension, as if one sudden sound could shatter what little calm exists. I understand that tranquilizers, barriers, or force are not far away, waiting for the moment when calm is no longer enough. The white tiger releases a low, vibrating warning sound, not a roar, but a signal of confusion, fatigue, and mounting pressure. I stay fully visible and unchanged, knowing that consistency is the only message this animal can interpret without fear. Each second stretches longer than the last, and I realize that escalation does not always arrive as violence, but as pressure with nowhere left to escape. I take one careful step forward, slow enough that the adult white tiger has time to register the movement without panic. I keep my shoulders relaxed, my cane touching the ground gently, making my presence steady and readable. I see the white tiger pause its pacing, its eyes tracking me, not as prey but as a fixed point in the chaos. I lower my body slightly by bending my knees, reducing my height, understanding that size still matters to a predator under stress. I focus on breathing evenly, knowing that any sudden tension in my body could transfer directly to the animal. I notice zoo staff responding to this shift, holding their position instead of advancing, allowing this fragile balance to continue. I angle my body sideways, avoiding direct challenge, presenting myself as part of the environment rather than an obstacle. I observe the white tiger mirror the change, its head lowering again, weight shifting back onto its hind legs, I sense a narrow window opening, where intervention means patience instead of force, presence instead of tools. I remain aware that my age limits my strength, but not my control, and that calm is the only resource I can fully offer. I see a veterinarian step into view far behind barriers, preparing equipment without approaching, respecting the moment. I hold my position, maintaining distance, allowing the white tiger's breathing to find a slower rhythm. I understand that this is not about dominance or bravery, but about giving the animal a path back to safety without fear. The adult white tiger suddenly stiffens, its body locking in place as a sharp noise echoes somewhere behind the barriers. I feel the fragile calm fracture for a split second, my muscles tightening even as I force myself not to move. The white tiger snaps its head toward the sound, ears flat, tail rigid, weight shifting forward as if preparing for a decisive action. I understand instantly that this is the edge of everything, the moment where instinct could overpower restraint. I remain exactly where I am, resisting every impulse to step back, knowing that retreat could trigger pursuit. I lower my gaze further and sink my weight gently into my heels, grounding myself despite the strain in my legs. The white tiger takes one heavy step, claws scraping loudly against the concrete, closing part of the distance between us. I feel my age fully now, my balance fragile, my heart pounding, aware that I cannot recover if this goes wrong. I notice Zoo staff freeze completely, no longer repositioning, no longer preparing, trapped in the same suspended second. The white tiger exhales sharply, a burst of breath filled with tension, confusion, and exhaustion rather than rage. I hold my posture unchanged, offering no challenge, no invitation, only predictability in a chaotic moment. Slowly, the white tiger hesitates, its forward motion stopping as uncertainty overtakes aggression. I realize that the correct decision is not action, but absolute stillness, and that this choice will decide whether life or death follows. The adult white tiger slowly turns its body away from me and begins to walk back toward the open enclosure, each step calmer, guided by familiarity rather than fear. I remain where I am, watching as the white tiger fully re-enters its enclosure, metal gates closing carefully behind it, restoring the boundary that protects both animal and people. I stand alone on the concrete path inside the Miami Zoo, leaning gently on my cane, feeling the weight lift from my chest as life returns to normal, knowing that calm, patience, and stillness saved us all.